everybody. Welcome to another installment of the Puckin' Around podcast. We got a real good episode for you tonight. I am Alex Burnett, co-host of Flyer Gonna Flyer, and I am joined by an awesome crew tonight. No Rick tonight. He's going to be working over at our sister station, Talking Habs, doing the live stream of the Canadians and Senators game.
Oh, let's go, baby.
But we got a good crew for you tonight. Starting with the man below me, our special guest for the night, broadcaster of the Florida Everblades, and he is a writer for Pitchforks. You know him, and LockedonDevils as well. You know him, you love him. This is Trey Matthews. How you doing tonight, buddy? Welcome to join. Thank you for joining the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Appreciate you joining on, man. It's always a pleasure.
The Ric Flair woo.
Island and profiling, the nature boy. And as always, we got three awesome co-hosts as always. Starting with the man to my far right from Highbrew Nation, one of the co-hosts of that group, Cam Sakarzik.
What's going on, everybody? I'm rocking the Dunks glasses tonight. I have to wear them.
Running on Duncan as always.
Buddy, America runs on Duncan, baby.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, if I don't get my medium ice 1-1 or 2-2, it depends how I feel. I need a little extra jolt.
It's all about the regular.
Gotta go regular. If you're not doing regular, you're not doing it right.
Yeah,
then we got problems.
Love Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Listen, I can't do Starbucks. If I will do Starbucks if I'm running off of like 3 hours of sleep, because I call that cracking a cup. Me personally. I know there's a lot of people here that like Starbucks. Me, if I'm drinking a Starbucks on a normal day, I'm putting my head through a wall.
No, buddy, I'm all about that. I'm all about that Charles River coffee. You know what I mean? Like in Dunks. That's what I'm all about.
How about a little shout out for Tim's there? No Tim's? No
Tim Hortons.
Little Timmy.
Speaking of Tim Hortons.
Timmy's isn't bad. Timmy, my buddy from Buffalo sent me a can of it that I use in my Keurig because I have reusable K-Cups. Not bad.
Stop it.
Tim Hortons.
You are not drinking coffee from a can. Stop it. Bro, stop it.
Nordy's
Plastic.
like 30
You
going
gave me
on.
the reusable K-Cups. I got to use them.
That's it. You said can. You said can.
Whatever the
drink coffee out of
plastic
a
can. I
can.
don't fucking know.
Nordy's
Watch
30
your
going on.
mouth.
60.
Not bad.
Let's be real here.
You don't drink coffee out of a can. Psycho.
Jesus.
Alex, who else we got tonight?
Anyway, one of our villains tonight for Rick. You know him, you love him. He's my Flyer co-host. On the bottom right-hand corner, Mr. Eric Martino. Eric, how you doing tonight, brother?
Playing a little injured, not hurt, but it's all right. It's all good, and always ready to talk some hockey.
Eric's running about 80% tonight, but you know what? 80 is better than 0. And that's all we ask for is you try.
Exactly.
Alex is crushing it with the damn euphemisms tonight, dude. He's nailing that shit.
I'm feeling it, man. Listen, it's the Ric Flair woos that get me hyped.
Yeah, buddy,
You know, when you get a good woo in,
Jesus
it gets
Christ,
the energy. It gets the flow. It gets the vibe, you know?
Yeah, the turkey's done. Holy cow. Oh, my goodness.
And last but certainly not least, you know him, you love him,
No,
Mr.
please.
Nordimus Prime, Matt Norton.
What a peeps.
You gotta wait for me to introduce you. Don't cut me off with the yo, what ups.
I don't give a shit.
Oh, we know that.
Hey, watch it.
Matt Norton,
That's
2 minute
one penalty.
penalty.
I'm over the penalty
Unsportsmanlike
flag, okay?
conduct.
Oh, that's a penalty. What was it?
And
Stop
the
it.
cards.
And the cards.
Oh, man. Alex, what are we doing tonight, buddy?
So tonight, we're getting close to the playoffs. And, you know, we've got probably about a month, maybe a little bit less to go. And realistically, I think you can say maybe 12 or 13 teams still have a chance at the playoffs in the East. Buffalo and the Pennsylvania teams, I think, are both cooked. But everyone else, you can at least put in a small argument for, maybe to a lesser degree, like the Bruins. And
Nope. Lose. Lose. I'll say it a billion times. Lose.
Yeah.
For the love of God, lose.
He gets it. Listen, I respect the Cam. You get the mission.
Lose.
Tank for the pick. Welcome to the dark side.
Don't even care. Tank for a pick or leverage it. Nope. Lose.
Guy gets it. He gets the mission.
I hate to be this person, but who are you exactly tanking for? This isn't a deep draft class this year.
He's not wrong.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm lose and leverage the pick for a team that actually needs it. Like, you know what I mean? I think most of the top 10 picks this year are centers.
A good chunk of them,
good
not
chunk.
all of them.
I think
mean,
most
There's
of
a
them.
couple defensemen.
Eklund's a good winger. Martone's a good winger. Schaefer is looking like a franchise defenseman. So there's some names out there that could be mixed in. Me personally, as a Flyers fan, give me Anton Frundell, and I'm a kid on Christmas morning.
Oh, bring him, baby, bring him.
Give me Frundell. That's the guy I want.
No, but
If
Trey
we
has
sit at 5 or 6, meltdown for fail for Frundell. That's what I'm on.
No, but Trey has a very, very good point. The draft isn't that deep, but still, if you can leverage a high pick for something else for a team that's willing to take it from you for probably whatever else you can get from it, I'm happy about it.
You get a boat if you can. No, I get it.
Yeah, throw me a bone. I don't know. Deep in the prospect pool. Let's draft another Zach Senyshyn. That'll make me happy.
No, but you make a good point though, Cam. Like, do you really trust Don Sweeney to draft that high and not swing and miss?
No,
I have a feeling Sweeney's not making those picks.
I have a feeling it's not even just Sweeney. It's that our scouting team sucks.
Cam, I just gotta ask you this. I know I was joking with you off air.
Come on, don't do it.
But
don't do it to me.
What was with the Brad Marchand trade?
God damn it!
What was the point of that? I mean, or not the point of it, but like, don't you think the Bruins could have gotten something just a little bit more for their captain?
I honestly thought for a guy of Marchand's caliber, regardless of his age, and you're retaining 50% of that, and you're only getting a second round pick. I mean, if you look at it, he's a top playoff performer in the last decade when he has made the playoffs. I mean, yeah, you would naturally think that you could at minimum a first round pick, minimum guaranteed. I think it came around, and we talked about with Billy Jaffe. I think it was around like 240, 250. Like it was late that they decided that it was not happening, that he was not going to sign here, and that the offer that the Bruins made was about the same amount that he's making now, and Marchand wanted about 7.5. Marchand was willing to budge, but the Bruins weren't. So I figured they needed to get what they could. Now, does that mean Marchand's coming back? Likely not. I don't think so. I think that was the final, passing of the baton. But yeah, I think also his injury might have played a little bit into that. But yeah, I agree with you, Trey, that haul for Marchand was extremely underwhelming, and I think that's where Sweeney failed.
So I was actually in Fort Lauderdale of all places when that trade broke down. I was actually outside of Elbow Room, and that's where the Kachuk brothers love to go party. So yeah, just a little bit of a fun story for you. And I was stunned when I saw that, because I didn't think it was going to happen. I just thought, it's the trade deadline. People are just blowing smoke, just saying this could happen, that could happen. But once I saw Brad Marchand's name, I was just like, no way.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So like the night before, they I can't remember who they were playing, but I was actually with my girlfriend, and I made a TikTok like draft of like a Brad Marchand kind of tribute, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I have this really bad feeling in the back of my head that he is getting traded tomorrow." And I don't know why, and let alone, so when it dropped up, I was shocked, but at the same time, part of me knew that was happening, especially with the trajectory of the team this year. And I think they also wanted, similar to Ray Bourque, I think they wanted to do right by Brad and give him the cup.
It's crazy too. We were live when that trade accumulated and whatnot, and it just came out of nowhere. The fact that it was the fact that it was Florida is what came out of nowhere. We all thought he was going to get moved.
Of all, like, why would you trade him to your divisional rival? Not only that, but the reigning Stanley Cup champions who appeared in 2 straight finals of all teams.
I hate to say it, but if you can't beat him, join him.
I think Brad wanted to go there, no? Because I think
Brad did.
Yeah, they had asked him, where do you want to go? And he said Florida.
Yeah, it was the only team that he was willing to go to.
I think
it's got to be a penny shot at that point.
Yeah,
it might be a way to stick it to Sweeney to just say, listen, you're not going to sign me? Fine, I'll go to the team that friggin' kicked your dick in the last 2 years.
Well, another thing, too, is that people are saying he's not going to get that money that he's asking for in the offseason. Like, he'll get 7. He will get 7. Like his points production, sure, has been average of where he's been over the last decade, but he still produces. I mean, he still had another 20-goal season this year. So I would expect a guy like him to get 7. I don't think he's going to get like the $8 million that Stamkos got, but I think he'll get 7 in the open market if Florida lets him, or if Florida wins a cup, I think he'll take a discount to stay with Florida. Those are the two options I foresee.
I could see that, especially the latter. And it's funny too. Him and TK were kind of buddy in the Four Nations.
If he goes to Philly,
doubt it happens because it's not in our age group right now, and it would make no sense because we're not competing for a cup. But I'm just saying, TK and Marchand were kind of buddy during that.
If he goes to Philadelphia, I think I'm just going to start watching baseball and badminton.
That's an interesting combo.
That's how lost I'll be, Trey.
It won't happen. I just want to get a reaction out of Cam.
Remember when I said there weren't many teams in the NHL I hated? The Leafs are one of them, and Philadelphia is another one. And it's not because of Philadelphia; it's because of their fans. Sorry, Alex and Eric. And I don't mean Philadelphia like Flyers fans. I mean just Philadelphia fans. You Eagles fans really suck.
I don't live in Philly, so I can't agree or disagree. But
you
got to give them that. They're a passionate fan base.
No, I mean, on the topic, if we're starting with Boston, I mean, Boston just lose. I know there's not a deep draft, but lose, leverage the pick if you want. And if there's a team that wants in the top 10, give it to them and trade down if you really want to. So, I mean, I don't know, leverage it for what you can get. Your middle 6 is your biggest question going into next year. So, nope, Bruins are within reach, but I don't know. Don't try. You're without McAvoy, you're without Lindholm.
The wild card is wide open. I mean, the Senators are starting to pull away a little bit. They got red hot at the right possible time, winning 6 straight games. But Rangers 72 points, Canadiens 71, Red Wings 70, Blue Jackets 70, but they're currently on a 4-game losing skid. Then the Bruins with 69.
LOL.
Anything is like. Didn't Kevin Garnett say like anything is possible?
He's throwing these guys at me. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's true.
And then once that is possible, then Jason Tatum say we did it. Cringeworthy, but he said we did it.
It was. Yeah, it definitely. Listen, I love JT. He definitely could have came up with a better winning line. I will say that.
Well, listen, too. There is a point to Trey that Trey's saying, and a lot of the players say it too. Anything's possible when you get into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Anything can happen. You really don't know. A team could get hot. You're at a hot goaltender. Anything. Really anything, man.
The 8-seeded Kings won a cup in 2012.
Awesome. Loved that run.
Go a few years back, 2010, the 7-seeded Flyers took on the 8-seeded Canadiens.
Don't remember that year.
Oh, well, yeah, I forgot.
You had to bring Alex, you had to bring up 2012, really?
Listen, you at least made the cup. You knocked my Flyers out that year in 5. So,
bro, Dora had a crazy year that year too, man. Yeah. Oh, dude, I miss Marty.
I do too.
Best goalie ever.
He's got best goalie ever, all time.
I won't even argue that. Best goalie.
I kind of lean towards.
Literally changed the rule. They changed the rules because of Marty. Let's be real here. He was that good. He was that good and winning that many games that they had to change the rule book.
He's top 3 in my opinion. I don't know.
I think he's 1. I have no issue putting Marty Brodeur.
All-time leader in wins, shutouts, games played, 3 cups, Vezina winner, arguably the greatest Devil of all time. He's the greatest goalie of all time.
Oh, you don't think Ilya Kovalchuk was the best Devil of all time?
Very funny.
Oh, he's gonna No, I have made an enemy tonight.
Cam. I could take it, but I could also dish it. I could dish it, and I could also take it. So, and every time you roast me, that's just 2 more roasts in my arsenal.
I respect that.
Wow, you got a sound bite for that too. Wow,
he's got everything, man. He pulls them out left and right. But anyway, let's stay in the wild card for now. We already brought up Boston. So you mentioned the teams that are in this. Rangers currently have the second wild card, 72 points with 68 games played. They have 14 to go. Montreal technically has it in point percentage. They're at 71 points, 66 games played. They're playing as we speak. I don't know the current score of that game right now.
1-1.
There you go. Detroit, Columbus are both at 70. with each 67 games played. As Trey mentioned, Columbus is kind of on the a little bit of a losing streak right now. Detroit just got out of a losing streak. They have been the definition of streaky. You know what? Let's start with Detroit a little bit. So we talked about this.
I just want to say Detroit's one of my favorite teams to root for.
Oh man.
Oh, me too.
I have no issue with the Red Wings, but I think the Yzer plan has been the Yzer scam, personally.
Here's the issue with Detroit. They traded, or what? They got rid of Ville Uso for Peter Mrazek. What?
I didn't understand bringing in Mrazek either.
I didn't understand that.
Kind of just confused me.
I would have, like, if you're open for a goalie in the market, that's not the guy. Like, I would have looked at John Gibson or something. Because you had the thing with Detroit. I like Detroit too. I'm going to say that right now. I do. I loved Nick Lidstrom. I loved all those guys, Pavel Datsyuk, and you know,
Magic Man.
Yeah, dude. Like, I loved Detroit. I think the league, and I've said this many times, and I think everyone here agrees that the league is a better league when at least half or 3/4 of the original 6 teams are competitive. I just think Detroit has some problems on defense because after Moritz Seider, there really isn't much there, and your goaltending has a lot of questions. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see a guy like Dylan Larkin or Patrick Kane or Tarasenko and Brinkett get stuff. It's just I can't get behind Detroit right now.
Well, I like Detroit just because of the mix of young players and also veteran players. So you got past Stanley Cup pedigree in Patrick Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko, and I know Dylan Larkin isn't young anymore. He's been in the league for many years, but I remember when he was when he was first drafted by Detroit, like over 10 years ago. He's still in his 20s, so he's still relatively young. Lucas Raymond, Mo Seider. So I just like Detroit because of the balance of young players and veteran players. And I think the NHL is a much better place when the Red Wings are in the playoffs, an original 6 team. And I could say, and this takes a lot for me to say this as someone who covers the Devils, because remember, the Devils beat the heavily favored Red Wings back in the mid-90s to secure themselves their first cup. So, but the Red Wings as an organization, they have my utmost respect, but then again, I grew up in Michigan, so probably the bias there.
Little bit.
Yeah. But I think the NHL is a better place when you got original 6 teams like the Canadiens, the Red Wings in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Honestly,
not Boston. Not Boston.
Listen, you guys won enough.
You've been in the playoffs too much.
Camp, you burn a bridge with me. I'm sorry. You burnt a bridge with me.
Sorry,
not a good first impression to say Jack Hughes when I first entered. Dumb move.
What if I say Scott Niedermayer? Is that a good move?
Scott, why? Who do you root for? Let me just.
Well, no, I'm just saying. We're talking about Devils players.
I was gonna say, wasn't
Niedermayer? Yeah, I like Scotty.
Just don't bring up Scott Stevens to me. I have PTSD every time I hear that
guy.
Let's see. Lindros comes down the lane. Oh, he's hammered down to the ground by Scott Stevens.
Wow.
See,
Alex
and Trey,
suspension in today's league.
Why are you going to play that card?
Oh my God! Hold on.
Because it's funny for me.
Come on, man. He was my guy. He was the reason.
Alex. When I think of Flyers, I think of Eric Lindros. Great player, but I don't think of him for his playing ability or the season in which didn't he have 100 points 1 year?
Yes, he did.
I think so.
Yeah. So I know that from the Immaculate Grid I've been constantly doing. You guys know that, right? Like the
they have that, the Puck Dooku.
Yeah, I love doing them, and just like Eric Lindros, he's the first Flyer that comes to mind whenever I see the Flyers play, but I think of Scott Stevens just knocking his head clean off, essentially.
Yeah.
Listen, Scott Stevens was
a great number 1 player
before Sidney Crosby came along for me.
A what?
Scott Stevens was public enemy number 1 before Sidney Crosby came along for me.
Alex, that's a lot for you to say, because we interviewed Sidney Crosby at 4 Nations. He's a great guy.
Listen, I love Crosby the person, but he has dominated my team for so damn long. Crosby the person, awesome. I have grown to respect the crap out of him. But Sidney Crosby, the hockey player, has ruined my team for so damn long. That's what I'm referring to in that. He was a cool dude, though. I think Crosby, the person's an awesome dude. I will say that.
I can see why he's well liked, and I was always confused. Why do people hate Crosby? Yes, he dominates your team, but that's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, then again, maybe that's how I feel about Steph Curry because being a LeBron fan.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Now you see where I'm coming. Crosby is the reason we got knocked out in 2018. We got knocked out in 2009. I think that actually, if they only played Crosby, 4 times in the playoffs, I think? 3 or 4 times. I don't know. I'm getting a little too
It'd be hilarious when the Penguins jump you in the draft lottery and get like Gavin.
No, don't you put that evil on me.
It's gonna
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me.
Don't you put that evil on me.
No, speaking of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, I think the reason why the hate towards Crosby was because when he came into the league, he was a young talent. And that's when the league started to really focus on head injuries. I mean, if you look at the players like Matt Cook, Scott Stevens, and I have a feeling Trey and I are just going to butt heads the entire time. This is going to be awesome. No, I think when you see a lot of players like that, or a lot of guys that were notorious for taking guys' heads off, rip Eric Lindros. I think that's why you saw that hate towards Crosby because he got a lot of beneficial calls his way. And, you saw a lot of there's that famous meme of him just sitting in the corner, like his head, like he looked like he was crying. So that's why they called him Sidney Crybaby. Mm-hmm. I don't hate Crosby as a guy at all. I actually really like him as an individual, as a hockey player. Yeah, of course it stinks when he dominates you, but man, top 10 player all time in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
100%.
No debate for me.
But Pittsburgh, ooh, man,
yeah. They got a lengthy rebuild ahead of them.
They need a rebuild like yesterday.
But
Eric, what do you think about the Penguins' current situation right now?
I think the Penguins are delusional. I think they think that they could fix this quick with just a couple trades, and I'm sorry, because a lot of people will say, well, look what Washington did. Yeah, well, Washington had like $20 million in fucking LTIR money with Oshie and Backstrom and whatever these guys put on LTIR. So they had the money to go get like the Chykrins and the Dubois and everything. Pittsburgh doesn't have that luxury. And I'm sorry, but it's a sinking ship, but no one wants to jump off the boat. Fuck. You know how much they can get for a Crosby, for a Malkin? Maybe not Letang because I think he has too much term on that contract and with the injuries. But they could, and I think I've said this before. If Crosby would just agree to get traded, go somewhere for 2 years, the pieces that they can get in return, and then if he wants to come back in 2 years, but he won't. No, I understand. He will not do it. He won't. But at the end of the day, you're hurting your team more than actually helping it out. Because
do you think he's got cups though? He doesn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't imagine Crosby in any other uniform, and that's why I felt as though the rumors of him potentially going to the Avalanche.
That's the only team I could see.
I knew instantly. I didn't even have to ask around. I said I don't think that's true.
Yeah. No, I'm with Trey 100% on Crosby. Anyone can also see what he has done just for the Pittsburgh, for the Pittsburgh community. I mean, he's idolized there in the community. So it's just difficult to see. Malkin, I could see them moving. And you can still get a pretty good haul for Malkin. But Crosby.
They'd have to do it this summer, I think, because Malkin's value is dropping.
And
he's not the player he used to be.
Was it maybe you've heard the argument too that hey, well, Gretzky got traded, but it was different when Gretzky was.
I hate it too.
I hate it when people bring up this argument. Can I go on a rant?
Oh, go ahead, King.
Rant.
Devils fans were talking about this relentless.
Come on, Cam, let him rant.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Where was I? Oh, yes. Devils fans were talking about Brady Tkachuk potentially coming to New Jersey. And they were saying, well, Wayne Gretzky got traded. Why can't Brady Tkachuk get traded? Well, here's the thing. The Oilers needed money. And the only marketable or universally known hockey player, this might be controversial, but it's a known fact. The only universal known hockey player is Wayne Gretzky. So, if Wayne Gretzky's memorabilia, it can go for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Whereas memorabilia for some of his teammates, people are going to be like, who? Or, like Pavel Datsyuk, while we're on the subject of the Red Wings, that's not really going to go for a lot either. Wayne Gretzky is the only universally known hockey player. That's just a sad reality. So you had to trade him to get that money. Plus, Gretzky's wife was an actress. And, as we all know, actors and actresses, they love Los Angeles. They love Hollywood. So Gretzky got traded to LA and the Oilers got their money. That's just how that would, like, there's always a reason, except if you're Nico Harrison of the Dallas Mavericks. There's always a reason why a player is traded.
That's a good freaking add-on too.
Couldn't agree with him more. Like I agree with you, Trey. The argument is stupid because people back then, or people who say it now, don't understand like what it, because that was before the salary cap, right?
That's what I was right about to say. We have a flat cap now.
Yeah. It was before all this, where the owner, there was like something that they needed, like the organizations needed to pay for most of it, and they didn't have it to front. So getting rid of Gretzky was a financial decision. It was not necessarily an organizational decision for the direction of the team. It had to be done. So yeah, it's crazy when people say that. I'm like, you need something more comparable. So
like, Cam, I'll troll you again. Why was Brad Marchand traded? Why? What was the reason?
You hate me, don't you?
You opened up the door.
I like Trey. He's one person that trolls Cam better than I do.
I can't do this, guys. We can't invite Trey on no more. I'm getting bullied. I'm calling HR. Like, what the heck? No, but it's a good point. It was because the money wasn't there. You're right. That was part of the reason. They did not want to shell out the money for him. Agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I'm not. I know it's sort of a troll, but I'm just trying to add on to my point. There's always a reason why a player is traded, and it's either the player demands out, or there might be some financial issues, or just the state of your team. Like if you have a lengthy veteran on your roster that could be use of that's value can be used somewhere else for like a rental, you're going to take it because your team's not going anywhere. So it's just
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm getting Claude Giroux PTSD right now.
Hey, I know this feeling all too well. So I got you, but it's just, yeah.
Look at Ray Bourque too. Early in the 2000s, Boston traded him to get him a cup, right? I mean, and I opened the door and I'm gonna basically kick that thing wide open. Ilya Kovalchuk fucked you guys over too, like with what he did. Like that was messed up, right? Like when he left and came back, and then you guys had to have the recapture penalty. That's messed up. Like, you know what I mean? But
on the bright side, next year the Devils won't have to pay him anymore.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's the last year of it, huh?
I will say this with Trey, though. I was 100% on the Devils side with that. I thought that was the scummiest thing that he did coming back.
I've gotten over it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't really think about it all that often anymore. But yes. Okay. You know what? I've roasted you, so you got me back. There we go.
To be fair, I will root for the Devils in the playoffs because of Dougie Hamilton. And
he's out now too, Cam.
No, I know he's out now, but that's a reason why I would root for him. I would also because of Curtis Lazar. You guys have Curtis Lazar still, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like him a lot. There's a lot of players on the Devils that I love.
He's a great guy. I love interviewing him.
Yeah, I love a lot of the guys on the team. Andre Palat. I love a
lot
of the guys on
You want him?
No, I don't. But I'm good.
That's a bad contract.
I'll take Timo Meier.
We could talk about Timo Meier in a second, but the reason why the Devils had to offer Andre Palat that contract was because they had no other choice. So
that was because Johnny Gaudreau didn't go there. That was where they
it wasn't just Johnny Gaudreau. It was a few other players. Like the Devils were in the running for Kevin Fiala, Alex DeBrincat. Unfortunately, those types of trades fell through. and the Devils were always in the running, so they were going to put all their pawns into Johnny Gaudreau, may God rest his soul. And Johnny Gaudreau decides to sign with Columbus, and the Devils are like, okay, let's go to option B, which was get Andre Palat. But I'm sure Andre Palat's camp was like, fork over some more money because we knew we were not your top option. And I'm sure the Devils didn't want to lose out on another player.
Yeah.
So they
kind of had to overpay. It makes sense.
They basically had to overpay to make sure that their plan B or plan C, whatever Andre Palat was, didn't leave too, because the Devils were swinging for the fences. And at one point, the Devils were the favorites to land Matthew Tkachuk when he wanted out of Calgary. But so the offseason, it was a little underwhelming a couple years ago. And like I said, Johnny Gaudreau was the top option for the Devils. It was the Devils. It was the Flyers. I think the Islanders were also.
He wanted to come here, but Chuck Fletcher didn't have the money to pay him. And I don't think Fletcher really wanted to go after him too. So Columbus ended up pivoting too.
And like I said, I'm just explaining the circumstances and no knock to Johnny Gaudreau. May he rest in everlasting peace.
Absolutely.
Real quick piece on just Johnny. More so with respect to Columbus and Calgary. I hope they make the playoffs this year. I do. I think the wonderful ceremonies that they have held in his memory, the fans dropping sticks off, flowers and everything at the feet of, I think it was the hockey rinks for him. It was just I honestly hope the fan bases get to witness that, and hopefully they do it for Johnny. I'm very in favor of that.
Yeah, I've said it on my show too. I'm rooting for the Blue Jackets. I really am.
I want to see them make playoffs. I think we all.
But they're currently on a 4-game losing streak. Their playoff odds are going down. But playoffs or no playoffs, Blue Jackets should be very proud of themselves.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. They took a massive step forward this year.
They've surprised me. They've surprised me.
Alex.
Go ahead, Kim.
Where's Lincoln's?
Eric, what do you think about Columbus that has stood out with them this year specifically?
Well, I think with Columbus, it's a lot of the steps that their young players have taken this year, like the Marchenkovs, the Voronkovs, the Chinakovs, the Fantillis. All these young guys are starting to come into their own. And look, a lot like New Jersey, they just been hit with injuries at the wrong time of year, like with Monahan and Goodbranson and Sillinger, and look, like it or not, they're a very young team, and it's really cool to see what after with all the tragedy and everything that they can actually come together as a team and even compete for the playoffs. I thought this was going to be one of the bottom teams.
I did too.
Yeah. So no, look, good on them, man. And like I said, they've been sliding. They lost 4 in a row. They've lost 6 of the last 7. It's really. But look, they've lost with some good teams though. So who knows, man? You know what? If they can still pull it off, I think right now the race is pretty much between Montreal and the Rangers. But hey, Columbus can still get back into the race.
Realistically, I have it as 4 teams. I have it Montreal, the Rangers, Columbus, and Detroit. I think the Isles are fooling themselves. The Penguins have played too many games. Same with the Bruins. When I look at Columbus, there's a few things that have stood out for me. Zach Werenski's having a Norris caliber season. In my opinion, I think you have a real argument that he could be maybe number 2 in the Norris hunt. I don't think anyone's going to catch Makar, but Werenski's
so good.
He has had such a fantastic
Wait. I thought Werenski was the favorite to win the Norris.
Is he right now? Really?
I think in the latest,
at one point.
I think in the latest odds that the NHL posted, I think they had Zach Werenski as number 1.
I think that,
wow. I still would put Makar personally, but I know how good of a season Werenski has had. So.
Ross Trophy odds. Nathan McKinnon is the favorite. I gotta find. Hang on, I'm searching right now.
Yeah.
I think one thing, and Matt can also, just staying on Columbus, I think Matt can also allude to this too. I think a lot of the drive for Columbus's success can definitely be driven by Sean Monahan. Because I think
he's their leader.
That was a huge loss
offensively, but I just think in general, I think he's the guy kind of leading the charge for that team.
And I think a lot of it too is because with the loss of Johnny, and I think how much that impacted him because he went there for Johnny too. Oh wow, yeah. How about that?
Yeah, they're
Ooh,
neck and
Slim
neck
though.
right now. Wow.
Slim Pickens though. That's a good race right there. That's a good race. Do
Yeah.
I think Werenski can win it? Yes, and I think that he should win it because
You guys
as
have
good
good
as
luck.
Makar is, I think you also have to recognize that other players having career years, because I think this is just an expectation of Makar at this point.
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you consider it a career year versus an expectation? That's the question. I think that should be answered when considering for trophies, and I think it will be for the defense, despite my absolute undying love for Makar.
And you look at other players on Columbus too that have stepped up. Kirill Marchenko has had a breakout year.
Ken Johnson's been really
to
good.
the eyes of Vogel, has turned into a second line player. Like
Fucking Ken Johnson.
In the eyes in the eyes of Vogel, it's fucking Johnson.
Adam Vinatelli is
No,
taking
Ken
one
Johnson's
step
been
in his
awesome.
development. He's on pace for almost a 50-point season, living up to that third overall pick expectations. JVR has kind of found the founder of youth. He might sniff close to 40 points, looking like a decent third liner for them. You look at Columbus's players; they've just had a lot of guys that have taken a step forward, and I know I'm kind of glad this team's making a push. It's good for hockey. It's a nice story. I think everyone here is in a mutual consensus, except maybe Nordy, because that team is facing with his for the playoff spot. But in reality,
I'd be cool with Columbus. They're
No,
probably
I
the
know.
one team
I'm just
I'd
that
be all right with.
Alex, what was that word you just used? Can you say that again?
consensus. Oh, geez, I'm botching.
Consensus?
Consensus?
Listen, I had a few glasses of wine before I came on. Leave me alone.
I think you just feel vocab back.
That sound effect was perfect.
I'm going to pretend that word didn't happen. But point being, I think we're all in agreement that it would be nice to see Columbus make the playoffs. But as mentioned earlier, the two teams in the wild card that seem like that are going to be the two likely candidates are the Rangers and the Canadians right now.
I still can't believe the Rangers are in this position after everything they've been through, like trading away Jacob Trouba, their captain, to Anaheim, and essentially everyone questioning the Shesterkin contract, everything that's gone wrong for them.
Yep.
They're still in a playoff position.
I think adding a guy like JT Miller gave this team a bit of a jolt too.
Oh,
He
yeah.
has kind of found himself. He feels a lot more relaxed and calm.
I was about to add to that, which is, do you think Elias Pettersson was wrong about JT Miller? And maybe, like, what are your thoughts on that? I think we talked about it briefly at Four Nations.
I want to touch on that too. Vancouver's in trouble. They need to figure that out.
No, they're not going to figure. They're not going to figure it out. They're done.
I don't think so either. But if I'm them, they have, like, you know what I mean. Like, if they have to, like, I don't think they will. But if you're a fan, you got to look at that and be like, we need to figure out this Pettersson situation. We need to. You can't. They can't afford to not.
It's such a shame too, because they had Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, Brock Besser, and Quinn Hughes, the reigning Norris Trophy winner. And the general manager for the Canucks has come out and said that Quinn Hughes does not want to be a part of a rebuild. So if the Canucks are forced to, like, blow it up and trade away some people during the offseason, Quinn Hughes might be out of there.
I think Besser walks.
Devil.
Oh yeah, Besser's definitely going.
I think Besser walks.
I mean,
I wonder what happens with Pettersson. There's going to be a few center needy teams that could end up throwing a boat for this guy. It really could be interesting. The thing is,
Flyers.
Honestly, I know he has struggled, but I know how good he's been in the past. I might still do it.
To the original point of the Rangers, though, I want to ask Trey this: how you feel about Chris Drury? Because if you look at the construction of the team, and could you actually blame a lot of where New York is because of how Drury is handling that team? Like, would you attribute it to that? Because if I'm playing for the Rangers, with the way how he treated one Capo Caco, who's performing very well in Seattle, and Trouba, granted, I'm sure everyone has a lot of bad feelings about Trouba, but if you're a player, do you feel confident in your GM that he'll take care of you, and two, the team?
Well, I don't play under the Rangers, so that's I can't speak on that. but from an outside perspective, I talked about it on my show. I'm a little confused when it comes to the Rangers. Like, I don't know the direction they're trying to head in, because last year they were President's Trophy winners, and now this year it seemed like they were on the they were on the line of possibly having to blow everything up, because they traded away a lot of key assets, including their captain Jacob Trouba. You don't usually see a team trade away their captain too often, yet somehow during this season we've seen it happen twice already. So Jacob Trouba, Capo Caco, who's doing well for a mediocre Kraken team. They got JT Miller back. They reunite with him. They got Igor Shesterkin locked up long term.
Mhm.
I was actually surprised that they did not fire Peter Laviolette, because usually when a team is struggling, like in the NHL, because it's like a revolving door when it comes to coaches, I'd say NHL coaches have the shortest leash of any North American sport. Like, you don't really see someone who's like John Cooper, who stays with the same team for many years. But
I'd argue football. I'd argue probably I would contest football, because there's zero patience in football, because they're always in win now mode.
right, because
But second, definitely NHL.
yeah, so you don't see like a John Cooper that often, someone who sticks around with the same team for
Or Mike
many,
Sullivan.
or Mike Sullivan, but he might be on the hot seat too. You never know.
Love him.
That's been talked about the last couple of years. But anyway, getting back to my point, the Rangers, I'm just confused, because they're not going. Even if they make the playoffs, I don't think they're gonna go that far. But it's just like, I don't really know. I'm confused.
I do want to test. I think just based off the moves that they were making, it felt like a very dysfunctional room, which adds to your point with Laviolette. Like, I said this about Lavi too, that it feels like he is a great short-term coach. We had him here for a little bit, but each stop he has made over the last few years since he won his cup in Carolina has been a little bit shorter each time. He was here for about 4 years in Philly. I think he was in Nashville for about 3 or 4 years. He was in Washington for 3. And now it feels like after year 2, things are coming apart for the Rangers. But I was quite surprised he moved. But when it comes to the Rangers, back to my main point, it feels like a team that is still trying to be in a win now, but trying to move guys on the fly, where Drury is like, I'm forcing these guys out. It goes back to last year with Barclay Goodrow, how dirty they did this dude.
Yeah.
And then you go back, and then it just continued this year with, whether you like him or not, Trouba forcing him out of there. And now you had the whole situation that thankfully he was able to take advantage of with JT Miller. So it's just weird there. They just keep feeling, and then obviously the Capo Caco situation where I felt like, they healthy scratched him once or twice before he was traded, right?
Which is crazy, because if you look at the way they treated Alexis Lafreniere, like, it's nuts. Like, they almost had zero patience with that kid, and then now he's turning out to be what they needed him to be. And I think they lost patience with Kako too. So I mean, I don't know. And look, he's doing well in Seattle. I don't know, but I can tell you for sure, I think retooling on the fly, which is basically what Drury is doing, there's no way it's sustainable, nor does it work, because you're trying to introduce now more variability in how long it takes for these guys to get integrated into the system. Eric, you look like you're nodding your head.
Yeah, well, no, because I was gonna say, like, the retooling on the fly. Like, if we're gonna knock the Rangers, but look at what Colorado did. They retooled their whole team this
Look
season.
at what Washington
goaltending,
did.
defense, offense.
Yeah.
They changed everything.
But if you notice it was bit by bit, not all at
100%.
once.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
no,
they
100%.
they did it very smart. They integrated the guys, and then they identified where the additional gaps were. Colorado did it very smart. Also, when you have two stud players in the form of Makar and McKinnon, and now you still have Nichushkin came back, like, and Druin's having a great year with them. Like, you know, things are starting to gel. They're actually a team watch for. They're very sneaky.
Oh yeah, I'm high on Colorado this year. But no, but like, even with the Rangers, right, with the whole Trouba thing, but it's a couple of seasons they've been trying to get rid of Trouba. It's just that he had the full no move where he couldn't move at all. And look, I never liked that contract in the first place, coming from Winnipeg, and when they signed him to that contract, I thought it was a terrible contract to begin with. And
He's just a terrible guy.
So look, at the end of the day, like, look, the Rangers are playing well right now, or they're playing okay. They're pretty much like a 500 team lately. But look, going into the playoffs, if they make it, goalies get hot, man, and Shesterkin is one of the best. So you can't count them out at all. And look, they have talent. Like they have the Panarin, they have Lafreniere is like finally playing well. And look, the JT Miller move, I think the person who benefited the most from that is Zibanejad, because he was having an awful season.
Yep.
And now, like, look, JT Miller comes in, they put him at center, they move Zibanejad to the wing, take some pressure off, take some responsibility away from him, take some pressure away from him, and he's actually responding. So, like, who knows? I don't think the Rangers are a favorite, but if they get in, they could be sneaky good.
That could be a sneaky matchup with them in Washington for sure. Because Washington, this is, even though they made the playoffs last year, and funny enough, the two teams played against each other last year, it's a Washington team that kind of feels a little inexperienced. And, you know, there's a lot of people that still think that they're not really that much of a contender. Me, I'm not one of them. I think they are. I think that team's a wagon. I think Strome has been the new Backstrom to Ovechkin, funny enough.
You should have seen his goal tonight. His goal was phenomenal.
Fit like a glove. This guy fit like a glove to Ovechkin.
I must say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, that's all right. That was pretty much my point.
I must say, as someone who covers the Devils, I did not anticipate for the Capitals to be first. I did not see that one coming. But I just thought, because based on how the Capitals played last year in the playoffs against the Rangers, I was just like, okay, here's what Ovechkin's going to do. He's going to break the Wayne Gretzky record, and then he's done. He's going to, go off into the sunset because there's nothing else for him to accomplish. He's basically done everything else. He got his cup a few years ago. So I was just like, yeah, that's what's going to happen, because he was a traffic cone during the playoffs. He did nothing. Yeah. But this time around, the grade 8 and missing time due to injury as well. He's amazing right now. I'm running out of. I'm flabbergasted, honestly, and that's hard for me to say because I already knew how great Ovechkin is. One of the greatest players to ever play this game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Wow, I mean, everyone I think knew he was gonna break it. It was a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, because there was no way the Capitals were saying, yeah, we're not going to resign you after your contract is up. Let me put it this way. If he was off the mark this year and next year to break the record, the Capitals are going to re-sign him until he breaks that record.
100%. He's a Capital for life, I feel, for sure. 100%.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And he's great.
KHL for a year. Worst, at worst.
On Ovechkin, he did say actually he is going to go play in the KHL once his contract is up with the Capitals. That is part of his plan. One thing, my favorite thing that Ovechkin ever did, and it was in the playoffs against the Bruins, he told Samsonov in Russian, "Wake up, you bitch." I think that was my favorite thing. Like, I would hate to be in a locker room where Alexander Ovechkin is mad. I just feel like his version of mad just I don't know, hits different, and he actually might hit you. I don't know. I love that. He is by definition a captain who will command the room. And I think that's exactly it.
And so he can back it up too. Like he's
100%.
Do not make him mad.
That's his building. That's his building. That's his locker room. And he is cutthroat, and he will come at you in ways you've never seen before.
He is a sniper that plays like a power forward. If you look at him, that man is built.
I'm just saying this just to cause controversy. Empty netter goals, Merchant.
This year, yes.
Recently,
this year, yes.
Recently, yes. I'll give you that. Absolutely. That's actually one thing I hope if he breaks the record.
It's not an empty net goal.
I hope it's not. I hope because I want to see the celebration. I want to see it mean something, and I think he wants to as well. I don't think he wants to score an empty netter goal to do it.
I just want to
add some flair to it.
I now officially have to retract my statement that he was going to break the record against the Flyers. I do not think he's going to get 8 goals in the next 2 games. I mean,
the Flyers in Detroit.
Flyers lose 8-0 to the Capitals, and Ovechkin has
all of it's Ovechkin.
Yeah,
7 of them are empty netters.
For all the wrong reasons.
Well, I mean, basically, if you're the Flyers, it's like playing with an empty net anyway. So what does it fucking matter? So there you go.
You got to give the guy credit though, because it was a couple games ago where he passed up a empty net goal and passed it to Protas for the hat trick.
Yeah.
So you got to give it to the guy.
Alex, I'm just asking this for the sake of a debate. Is John Tortorella on the hot seat or?
All right. So it's
No.
funny because me and Eric talked about this. It depends. Me personally, we brought this up on Flyer. Me personally, it depends on the situation. If Sullivan becomes available, I think he moves upstairs. Eddie has to fire Rocky Thompson. That is mandatory. If he does not, if he tries to vouch for Rocky Thompson, he has to go upstairs. There is no debating that. Because I can't have another year of Rocky Thompson on the power play. But so is his seat getting warm? Yes, I think it is. I do think though they won't be playing this bad the rest of the year, but it really just depends because I am getting a little worried about how they've been playing lately. But at the same time, I think that they get to respect Tortorella and try to give him a team that's a little more complete next year. As I think Danny does make a few moves in the offseason, especially to acquire a center. I think it's more of a 50-50 shot. It just depends on the circumstances around him.
I have to run in a minute, so I want to bring this up because you mentioned Mike Sullivan, and then I hope you guys have a good rest of the show after I mention it. I don't think Mike Sullivan goes to Philadelphia. I know him and oh my goodness, Tortorella are good friends, but I have a hard time seeing Mike Sullivan going immediately across the river and being like, I'm going to, instead of now coaching the Penguins, I'm going to coach the Flyers. I see that as just
a slap in the face.
I see that. Yeah, I don't see it. Mike Sullivan's a phenomenal coach. I just have a hard time seeing him being like, I'm going to go to your immediate competitor. Right. That's just like I was the CEO of McDonald's. Now I'm going to go be the CEO of Burger King.
I'll give you an example of where that's happened. Your boy Claude Julien did that from Boston to Montreal.
Yeah, well, Claude Julien likes to win games 1-0. So in a game style that doesn't. But guys, I'm sorry, I have to jump off. I hope you guys have a great rest of the show. Trey, it was awesome getting to meet you, brother. I'm glad we got to have some little back and forth. That was fun. Enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
Take care, Cam.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Cam.
So with that being said, how about we move on to Carolina real quick? That's one of the teams I don't think we've touched on that much. Actually, Nordy, let me start with you. What do you think how Carolina has pretty much responded since making that big, massive trade to acquire Stan Coven? They look like a different team. It looks like they got a silverback gorilla taken off of their shoulders.
Well, before I comment on the Hurricanes, we're gonna talk about my team at all, or are we just gonna keep talking about everyone around us?
We were gonna get to them next. That was one of the next team I was gonna go on the docket.
I mean, Canes have been all right. Like they'll still make the playoffs. I don't know. I don't think that they're built to go deep. Again, I don't see it. But I mean, they've done all right. Turned it up a little bit. But again, I still think they fumbled that situation a lot.
Long term, yeah. This year, I don't know if they're going to be really a cup contender at the end of the day. They're playing great hockey right now, but the whole way they handled this, they just don't have the vibes of a long-term contender. But we'll see. Trey, what do you think?
After everything that transpired with Mikko Rantanen, I'm confused about the Hurricanes, but they're doing well. They're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But that you traded away Martin Necas for what, a few weeks of Mikko Rantanen?
Mm-hmm.
That is just, and then the return package obviously isn't all that good because the Hurricanes had their hands tied behind their backs because no team was going to take Rantanen unless it was a sign and trade circumstance.
Yeah.
Which is what I argued the Hurricanes should have done in the first place. Like, I don't know how you trade for a player of that caliber, right? And you don't have a contract.
I thought Rantanen was open to signing with the Hurricanes. I thought that was
shocking.
Yeah, I thought that was basically...
He went up to Rod Brendamore and said, "Yeah, I'm not staying here." Like, went up to Rod Brendamore, like, I don't know, during a skate or something, and said, "Yeah, you guys aren't a team I'm going to sign with. I have 4 teams in mind." Something like that.
I think it was Dallas, Toronto, Florida, and one other team. I'm blanking on the last one.
Look, I'm no GM, but don't you think that would have been the first thing you would have asked or presented? Like, are you open to
Well, that's what I said. Like, when a player of that caliber becomes available, like in his contract year, like because of what you'd have to give up. Like, I don't see how you like. I wouldn't be comfortable making that trade unless I know he's signed. It's a sign and trade, unless I know that he's signing with my team for whatever 7-8 years, whatever it would have been. Because I'm not giving up what I have to give up unless I have that security. You know what? That's just, to me, it's bad asset management.
Well,
If that makes sense.
Apparently, it was I think it was Elliot Freeman that on one of his pods that actually reported that before the trade, that Colorado gave permission for Carolina to talk to Rantanen, and he took the call, and they had asked him if, like, would you be open to signing with us, and apparently he told them yes, and what Elliot was speculating was that he thought that Rantanen thought that it was just like a ploy to, like, for bargaining and for the contracts. They never thought he was actually going to get traded, and then, like, it caught him by surprise. And then I don't know. So it's like, it's all he said, she said, and it's like, well, did he actually tell Carolina that he was going to actually sign there? And then so there was from what my understanding of this whole situation, there was a lot of confusion. It's like Rantanen never thought he was actually going to get traded. He thought that Colorado was playing hardball. So I don't know. It's just a weird situation.
It is suspect, man. Like, why? I don't understand it either. Like, why?
Exactly.
Why even play that bluff and take that chance when there's already been issues to extending you already? The team is in a win now mode, and they want to make sure they get something for you. It's just, I don't know. I think Carolina especially played this bad. Maybe they thought that Sebastian Aho would have a little bit of an influence on them, seeing how they both finish, but.
Well, look, at the end of the day, I think Carolina, the situation was terrible, but, like, I thought they actually ended up, after everything was said and done, that they actually ended up pretty well. It could have gone, like, so much worse for them.
Oh, yeah.
And look, at the end of the day, like, we all heard that Nietzsche was not going to resign there anyway. So it sounded like he was not going to resign. So look, at the end of the day, they got Stankoven, who they have under team control for the next, like, 6-7 years, and then they got 2 firsts and 2 thirds, which I was honestly surprised. I thought they were gonna flip one of the firsts for, like, let's say, like a Brock Besser or something to get them that extra offense for the playoffs. But look, at the end of the day, like, they're still a pretty good team. Look, they're still undefeated since the trade deadline, and the Metro. Look, it's not. Look, we saw it with New Jersey's battling with injuries. The Rangers
won 4 of their last 5 games, though.
They are still.
But yeah, no, like, I'm not saying they're a bad team or anything, but if you go into the first round without Dougie Hamilton, without Siegenthaler, without
Jack Hughes,
without Jack Hughes, like, it's not nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I like New Jersey too, and
I'm predicting for the Devils to be bounced out in the first round, because season ended today. They would be playing the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes, besides the Rangers, of all the teams in Metro, they give the Devils the most trouble. Besides Rangers, because you got that rivalry right there, but Hurricanes always play a very physical game.
Yeah, I'm just I'm trying to say is that there's an easier path in the Metro than there is in the Atlantic.
Oh, so yeah, for sure.
You just can't count them out.
Yeah, that much I will give them that. All right, let's move to Montreal.
Fucking finally.
Listen, we were holding them back for a reason. Montreal is going to be one of the big surprises of the year. I personally thought they'd be another top 10 pick as well, and their first line is catapulted. They got a defenseman in the Calder hunt right now. I think their depth scoring is their biggest issue, obviously, but they do have a pretty damn good first line. But
all right, Ivan Demidov is going to be here next year. Depth scoring won't be a problem.
That ain't going to help you 2C problem. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll make a trade there or make a signing. We got oodles of cash. And
I heard Demidov could also play center, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried.
He could. I kind of would rather him on the wing, but he could play
They'll
center.
probably start him at the wing. If they might eventually try it, but you're not going to want to throw a rookie right into a center position right off the bat. But anyway, Where do we see with Montreal? Is this team they're definitely the biggest threat to the Rangers? Do they? You know what the Montreal Canadiens remind me of? They're the 2017, 15-16 Philadelphia Flyers. They have one really fucking good line. And then after that, but they have one really fucking good line and one really good defenseman. Flyers version of that was Shane Gostisbehere in 2015-16. And a Flyers really good line was Voracek, Giroux, and Simmons. Montreal, you have Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky, and one really good rookie offensive defenseman in Lane Hudson. It's almost very eerily similar. It remind me of the 2015.
Lane Hudson's also a lot better than Gostisbehere, but go on.
Lane Hudson also only has 4 goals. Gostisbehere had 17 and had 3 overtime winners that year.
Yeah, don't care. Lane Hudson's on pace to have like the second best rookie defenseman season ever.
This is the debates we like to have. But when it comes to Montreal, Trey, let me start with you. Do you think they end up eclipsing the Rangers for the final spot?
One more thing. I hope you have the money in your bank account, Alex, to buy that Hudson jersey to honor a bet.
No, you got to
On the
give it to
cover.
me. I'll wear it, but you have to get me the jersey. I'm a man of my word, but if I lose that bet, you have to provide the jersey. But anyway, go ahead, Trey.
I want to see the Canadians in the playoffs. Like I said early on in the show, I think it's better for the NHL when you get a team like the Canadians in the playoffs. I do have to agree with you, though. I'm struggling with their depth. I think that's what's going to do them in because they got good players in Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Lane Hudson, and Uri Slafkovsky here or there. Like, never a threat to like get a point every single game, but he's solid. I got to give him that.
Yeah, and I mean he's only 20, so he's still putting 2 and 2 together. You know what I mean? Like
I said if the Devils had the first overall pick a few years ago, I would have wanted it on Slafkovsky too, because that's what I predicted for the Devils to get at number 2. But obviously things changed. But digressing a little bit, that's where I struggle. They're sort of like they kind of remind me of the Devils too. Like the Devils are very top heavy, but when it comes to their depth, that's what's going to do them in a little bit. So I do like Nick Suzuki. I do like Cole Caulfield. I think they're a really good 1-2 punch. And Cole Caulfield, he was snubbed from Team USA for 4 Nations. I will die on that hill.
Yeah, I can agree.
And I think Sam Montembeault is very underrated when it comes to being a goalie. I've said that on my show. But yeah, where I struggle is just their depth.
Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, I'm sort of with you there. Like, at least in terms of absolute the second center position and probably that other wing, and because Patrick Laine's got 27 points in 36 games, so it's not like he hasn't been doing his thing. I mean, he's been fine, especially coming up back off that knee injury. But I think the depth again will kind of fix itself next year. Obviously, Demidov will be over. And they'll make a move for a 2C somewhere, but no. But for right now, yeah, no, I certainly see that, and on my Hab show with Rick, I kind of just said, they're playing with house money right now. It's going in the 4th year of the rebuild. It's it's great progress. Like I like what I'm seeing. If they make the playoffs, cool, that'd be fun. If not, I mean, it is what it is. But I like the fact that we're playing meaningful hockey near the end of the season here. I think that's really great progress. Only 4 years into the rebuild, and like I said, we got Demidov will be coming up. There's still really good young players coming up. Jacob Fowler in a couple of years, Michael Hage, who just won Freshman of the Year in the Big Ten in college hockey. So it's again, it's not the final picture yet, but I mean the pieces are coming together, and I think if things go the way they should, I mean this is going to be a really really good team for a long time.
I do like Hage's story, by the way. Learned more about it going into the draft from, suffering a tragedy to now being a draft pick for the Canadians. I highly recommend people look that up. According to Tankathon, the Canadians have the 17th hardest schedule. So basically, middle of the pack. So their schedule is not the easiest. It's not the toughest either. Some of their tougher opponents are going to be the Hurricanes twice, the Panthers twice, the Senators twice, but some of their easier opponents are the Blackhawks, Predators, Flyers twice, Bruins, and that could go either way, Islanders, and Red Wings.
Yeah, Montreal played spoiler on us when we had our playoff hunt last year, so I honestly wouldn't mind repaying the debt. But we'll see what happens. I think it's a coin flip for them. Yeah, I find it crazy. I like to look at Money Puck to see the playoff odds on that all the time. They have Montreal at 20%. They have the Rangers at 52%, and I have Columbus at like 10%. I feel like the numbers on that site are so off. That just seems.
I mean, just look at the points, and there's a lot of parity in hockey. That's the thing. So,
yeah, well, you got to look at games in hand too, right? Like, we've only played 66 games. You being the Canadians. Yeah. I mean, the Rangers have played 68. That's 2 more games. I mean, everyone behind us has played at least one more game than us.
Yeah, so, Detroit and Columbus played 67 and Boston 69.
That's the other thing with game. If game in hand wise, I mean,
is big. Definitely,
we're right there. So it's. But yeah, I mean, it's. I'm just happy to see double digits in that. Like I said, for only the 4th year of a rebuild, I think it's just really, really good progress. And again, just shows how why I I love what Ken Hughes and Jeff Gorton are building and why I kind of trust them to keep doing what they're doing. I mean, this is as perfect as a rebuild really as you could get. I mean, I think especially for a while, like I think they've done everything right. Trade wise, signing wise, and at the time Kirby Dach I think was a no-brainer to take a flyer on. Obviously we now know that he can't be that 2C, but again, I can't really fault him for making that trade because again, at the time you're starting the rebuild, we can take a flyer on him. Best case scenario, if he's just a depth winger, like I'm okay with that at his size. He doesn't really make a lot of money, and his contract I think is up next year. So, but other than that, I don't really think they've missed on a trade. Like I love the Barron for Carrier trade has been tremendous. I mean that really sturdied up the right side of the defense. Like again, I don't know. From what I know, I guess the Predators somewhere in the scouting team messed up and they thought they were getting not Justin Barron, but when Ken Hughes said, "Oh wait, you want him? Oh yep, no, he's already at the airport. His bags are packed. He's on the next flight to Nashville." Like, I mean that trade's been great. So yeah, I mean I just trust in those two, and again I think the pieces are starting to come together. It's going to be a really good team for a long time once everything hits.
What about you, Eric? You got anything on the Habs?
No, look, I think the Habs they're on the right path, man. Like this is exactly where I know, like Ken Hughes and company. This is exactly where they wanted to be. Play meaningful games in March, and like you guys mentioned, yeah, their top line is great. I really like their fourth line, and their defense is solid. It's that middle. It's like that middle six where they obviously need to improve. And look, they not that they have bad players in that middle six, like you said, Matt. Like Laine's having, since he's been traded to Montreal, is like, I know he's had some struggles here and there, but like he's been a decent.
I mean, like 27 points in 36 games after a knee injury like that. Like, that's fine.
That's good production. You're second, borderline second line production.
Yeah, it's just that like the 2C position is a huge hole right now, and like got a couple like older veterans like Anderson and Gallagher that are there too, and like good players. Don't get me wrong, like, but they need a little bit of upgrade. And like I said, they need just a little bit of upgrade in that middle six. But hey, like, found money, man. Like, go for it. Like, if they can make the playoffs, even if they lose in round one, like at that point, who cares, man? Just get your guys some experience and
money.
You're absolutely right.
Exactly. And trust me, like I know this city's gonna go mental if they make the playoffs. So it'll be fun.
They would get matched up with Florida. No, they get. Would they get? Yeah, they'd get the Capitals round one of the season.
Yeah, the Capitals probably. Yeah,
that would be a fun series.
We've actually played them pretty well this year. Funny enough.
Yeah. But let's end with this when it comes to the wild card, and then I just want to touch on the Atlantic before we wrap things up. Who do you guys have getting the second wild card? Because I think it's pretty apparent Ottawa's going to get the first.
Well, you never know, but yeah, I
It's
do.
likely. We'll say that. Let's just go
Mhm.
for argument's sake that Ottawa holds on to it.
I'm rooting. I know they have a very tough schedule, and that might make things harder. But I'm rooting for the Red Wings. I want to see them back in the playoffs.
Who I think gets it is Montreal. Who I want to get it is Columbus. I think Montreal's first line is going to carry them there, and I think they just hold on to it.
No,
Yeah,
that's fair.
They get by like a point because they can't. I will say this: they can't end tied with the Rangers. The Rangers ran away with the tiebreaker regulation wins. They have to end ahead of them in points. Right now, they're barely behind Detroit, so they could surpass them in the tiebreaker. And I think they currently hold it over Columbus because they go to regulation overtime wins there, and I believe they're ahead of them in that. But the Rangers hold the tiebreaker over everyone right now. So, but I think Montreal gets it by a point over the Rangers is my prediction.
I think I'm saying I would like Columbus to get there, and like they have just as good a chance as Montreal does, but I think Montreal ends up getting that final wild card spot.
I like that. I like the votes of confidence.
Listen, who I want and who I think are two different things.
Yeah.
I think Montreal.
But still, right? Like I like that vote again, right? It's progress.
Yeah,
It's progress.
I'm
And that's what
not
happy
hoping on the Rangers. Fuck the Rangers.
I would like to laugh at the Rangers. I hope they end up with pick 15 and
they don't even have their pick. They don't even have.
I don't. Well, I think it's top 13 protected. So if it does drop down to that, they do keep it. Yeah. But anyway, finally, before we wrap things up, let's touch up a little bit on the Atlantic. That division is getting spicy right now. Tampa's red hot. They have suddenly come within 2 points of Florida for first place in the division. Meanwhile, Toronto's kind of trading down since the trade deadline. I think, what are they at, 81 points right now? And I think Tampa's at 85, if I remember off the top of my head.
They're tied at 83 points.
Or they're at 83, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, so Toronto won last night. That's right, and accumulate the Calgary win. But actually, they're all within 2 points. So with that being said, who wins the Atlantic between those three teams?
Florida.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think Florida. I don't know. It's because of their injuries. It might be a little tough, and maybe Tampa just sneaks in. But if I had,
Ekblad's suspension is not going to make it easy either.
And then Tkachuk's still hurt too.
Tkachuk's still hurt.
Tkachuk's out for the rest of the regular season. I don't think we're going to see him again until playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Honestly, I'll go with the Lightning. I think they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Trey. I'm going to change that up. Also, because I really just want to see that third rat line against Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And just watch Steve Dangle have like an absolute meltdown after every game. I don't know. I love Steve Dangle. He's great hockey guy, but I just think that'd be hilarious.
We need the Steve Dangle mental breakdown of the Toronto memes. It's always fun.
I don't like it. It's not my personal cup of tea. I don't like it when content creators just crash out just because it'll like create like
right.
No, that's fair.
Clicks and clout. To each their own. I've had my fair share of reactions to certain things, but it's just not my cup of tea. Like, or that Frank guy for the New Jersey Devils, him like freaking out after every
I've seen him on social media. He takes it a little overboard. Yeah,
biting his glass. I'm like, dude, this is clearly acting, which you're not a good actor. And two, this is just like over the top. And I hate fans like that, which is like, look, I get it. It's a tough stretch, but it's not the end of the world. And I don't know. Things like that just scream, I live with my mother.
That escalated quickly.
Hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that.
No. Listen, much worse has been said here.
Okay, yeah. It's that kind of, in the words of Norm Macdonald, so that way, people can know this is a quote. It's that type of thing that screams, I live with my mother.
Yeah, honestly, you don't got to get the clout that way for sure. I agree with that.
But to each their own. Yeah. And somewhere out there, Steven Stamkos is kicking rocks right now.
I feel for him. He wanted to go back. They didn't want him back. They made the right call
Yeah, it
because
was the right
Stammer
decision.
obviously has fallen off quite a bit this year. But
That Predators team, just a complete disappointment.
yeah, hey, Trey, if you want to hold this against Cam next time you see him, that was his cup pick.
I
Now
said
you
it from the
tell me.
beginning. They have no centers.
Now you tell me. Now you
It didn't come to mind. I'm sorry. I should have brought that up to him. But my Atlantic pick is Tampa. I think that team's rolling on all cylinders right now. Vasilevsky looks like my bold prediction at the beginning of the year is I thought that they would completely miss the playoffs because Vasilevsky's back was not going to hold up. I was dead wrong with that take. This dude looks like he's back in his prime form. He has played excellent this year. They have Braden Point has been excellent. Kucherov hasn't missed a beat. Sorelli took a step forward. They added Bjorkstrand, which is a good add. They brought back Yanni Gord. Victor Hedman's still excellent. I got to give it to this Tampa team. They're not ready to fold yet. They got another run or two in them. So I got to give it to Tampa. I think they win the division. Honestly, I wouldn't be even surprised if they win the East as a whole. They just look like they're clicking on all cylinders right now. I don't know if I'm going to pick them yet, but I would not be surprised if they did. But yeah, anyone else or anything else to add before we wrap things up?
When you say East as a whole, you're just talking about like the Eastern Conference Final because nobody's catching Washington.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. They're
No. I
13
mean,
points behind.
I know not what works up here. I just wanted to make sure.
No, they're not going to catch them in points. I'm saying when the playoffs begin, they end up winning the East as a whole. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we know they're not going to catch Washington in points. Washington, I think, has got like a 7 or 8 point edge on the field at this point. Oh, more than that, actually. It's 13. Washington's almost 100 points. Holy crap. But anyway, with that being said, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in to a fantastic episode. Trey, I appreciate you coming on. Was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. You're a wealth of knowledge, and it was always great to have him. Everyone give him a follow on Twitter, at TreyMatt4. You can look him up at LockedonDevils and Pitchforkedpuck. And he also does broadcasting for the Florida Everblades. If you ever look at the Florida affiliate, he's always doing work there as well. So, Trey, again, thank you so much for coming on. Nordy, Eric, also awesome having you. Cam, was a pleasure for the time you were here as well. But that is going to do it. Everyone, thank you all for another fantastic episode of the Pucking Around podcast, our 61st installment. It's crazy, man. We're already up to episode 61. It's getting closer and closer. But that is going to do it. So everyone, take care. Leave us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know some thoughts. If there's something you'd like for us to talk about next week when we go over the West, we'll go over that as well. But that's going to do it, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care and have a fantastic evening.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, give a thumbs up, leave a comment, and please share this video.